Have you ever heard of a chemical called DMT? I believe it is called. It's actually a drug, believe it or not, but it can be manufactured into a drug and utilized the same way you use any other kind of, I guess, recreational drug. But it's something that's actually produced by the human body naturally as well. And no doctor has ever known what this drug is for. They know that the body emits this into the system during certain events. It helps you relax. And I was wondering what your thoughts might be on that. DMT. How do you feel about how that helps bring you into that state of mind for things like meditation and a spiritual event or a psychic event or even just sleep in general, and how it brings you into that lucid state of mind?
Yeah, I wrote about that in two of my books actually. So DMT is produced by the pineal gland, our third eye, there in the middle of our brain, and the first burst you ever get of DMT is when you become a fetus, from being an embryo to a fetus. It's on the 49th day of conception, after conception. On day 49, your pineal gland has this big burst of DMT, and after that is when the embryo officially is a fetus, and when the gender of the baby is determined, is right then. And Rick Strassman, who wrote the DMT, the Spirit Molecule book, he made this correlation, which is amazing, that Tibetan and Chinese funerals last 49 days. Like the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they have these things you're supposed to read to the deceased every day to help them on their transition into their next body, into their next life, to forget this life, to forget these people in this body, and to go into the next one. And the traditional long Chinese funeral is a 49-day cycle, and it's on the 49th day after conception that seems that the soul enters the human body through the pineal gland, the third eye. And that's also where it's said to exit during out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences. Um, and so you have a burst 49 days after conception. You have a burst of DMT every night while you sleep, and it kind of trips you out into dream states. And the biggest burst you'll have in your life is at physical death. The biggest DMT burst, biggest natural psychedelic experience you'll ever have is when you die. And so that's why people under anesthesia, like you said, will sometimes come out of their body, and they'll even remember things from other lives and whatnot, because their connection to the physical body is being severed, so to speak, by those psychedelics, by those entheogens. That's one of the things they do. Psychedelics, they like make your spirit less connected to your physical body. I took magic mushrooms once, and my consciousness shot up like 10 feet above my head. So I was sitting there meditating, and suddenly I opened my eyes, and everything I see is, and hear. I was hearing from that vantage point as well, like I'm 10 feet above my actual physical head. So someone talking into my ear sounds very distant to me. And when I go to look at them, I'm looking at the top of their head. And that was one of the main things that shot my scientific materialistic worldview. After that happened, it was sure I was on mushrooms, but I was cognizant enough to be fully in that experience and to experience seeing and hearing from a vantage point that was not inside my head. My consciousness shot up there. So anyway, with DMT, when you die, boom, you get a burst of this psychedelic substance, and it seems that it's a chemical, but it's got spiritual properties. It seems that what is necessary to happen at death for us to leave our physical bodies is that we have to go through this kind of psychedelic experience to leave our physical body. And that's what's happening with the DMT burst at death, is that your consciousness is psychedelically shifting out of the physical realm, out of your physical body. Then you're going to go through the near-death type stuff, and then you'll go through the new life creation stuff where you decide what you're going to do with your next life. And then, boom, 49 days later, you're going to find yourself in a new DMT burst psychedelically inside somebody's womb, getting ready for your next lifetime. That seems like, with the 49-day cycle and the DMT burst and and my own psychedelic experiences, as crazy and as that sounds, kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does definitely. And so would this explain like in like a near-death experience, because you're obviously going to have some kind of a burst occurring, how people, when they do come back, they do have memories of the past lives and things that they may not have had before they had that experience, or maybe enhanced abilities?
Yeah, but also it's kind of dreamish, like any psychedelic experience. When it's finished, you don't have vivid recall of play-by-play of every moment. It's more just little glimpses of where you can remember, and that's seemingly what most people say about their out-of-body or near-death experiences, that
It's all about the highlights.
yeah, exactly. They just have
It's
highlights.
a highlight footage reel.
Exactly. That's incredible.